Thank you very much, Frank, in particular that you also raised the issue water cures post-approval, because I think that indeed this is also an element which we have to look much more in the future into it. Our next panelist is Dr. Anna Field from Australia. Please.
Thank you. I'm going to start with an introduction to the TGA's regulatory approach for therapeutic products, and then I'm going to talk about the Australian National Nanotechnology Strategy and the TGA initiatives which were undertaken in response to that National Nanotechnology Strategy. The TGA is part of the Commonwealth Department of Health and is responsible for regulation of medicines and medical devices. So this includes prescription, over-the-counter and complementary medicines, also biologicals, and also includes medical devices. The Therapeutic Goods Act of 1989 provides the legislative basis for our activities, and we have a risk-based evaluation framework, regulation framework. So the level of regulation imposed is in accordance with the degree of inherent risk associated with the product. So important features of the Therapeutic Goods Act are that each product is considered to be a separate and distinct good. It's regulated individually. So if there's a change in composition or form that influences the safety of that product, it actually becomes a new product and has to be reassessed prior to approval. So another important point is that the TGA has the legislated authority to require additional data to be submitted to support the safety assessment where this is warranted. And I should just point out that we base our assessment, we make our assessments in general against the EU guidelines. So the National Nanotechnology Strategy was launched by the Australian Government in 2007 to capture the benefits of nanotechnologies while addressing any potential health, safety and environmental risks. So under the National Nanotechnology Strategy, there was a review, an independent review conducted, which looked at the capacity of Australia's current regulatory frameworks, not just the TGA, to manage risks associated with products derived from nanotechnologies. And as a result of this review, it concluded that there were in general, Australia's regulatory frameworks are well suited to the purpose. There was no immediate need for major changes. But three areas of concern were identified. One, which is whether nanomaterials would be considered different to conventional materials, whether regulators were aware of the presence of nanomaterials in the products under their regulatory control, and whether current testing protocols were appropriate to establish any risks. So following on from this independent review, the TGA received funding and established a nanotechnology focus group to address the key concerns that were identified in the report. So one of the main focuses was to examine the capacity of our current regulatory arrangements and guidelines to capture information relevant to nanoscale materials or materials that are derived from nanotechnologies. So that involved at first establishing a database of existing products that have been approved. In addition, we conducted a scientific review of national and international research relevant to the toxicity of nanotechnology-based therapeutic products. A second aim of the nanotechnology focus group was to build capacity in the area of human health risk assessment of nanotechnology applications. And in addition, it was seen that it was important to engage both nationally and internationally. So the conclusions of the nanotechnology focus group review were that the TGA was well placed with its existing regulatory system to regulate products incorporating nanomaterials, in that it generally operates in a data-rich environment, has a high level of expertise to bring to bear on the assessment of new technologies, has the legislated authority to require the additional data to support the safety and assessment of new materials, and our sponsors have the technical expertise to address these issues. But obviously it was also important to maintain capacity building for the organisation and to engage internationally to ensure that we could develop appropriate guidelines and provide appropriate advice to industry. One important aspect for our scientific review, one important area of focus for us is the review of the safety of titanium dioxide and zinc oxide nanoparticles in sunscreens. Because Australia has the highest overall incidence of skin cancer in the world, and sunscreens are actually regulated as medicines. They're considered to play an important part in this public health program, in the use of high protection, broad spectrum sunscreens to prevent skin cancer, or help assist in the prevention of skin cancer. So zinc oxide and titanium dioxide nanoparticles have been used as ingredients in sunscreens for more than 15 years, and these products combine the broad spectrum UV blocking activity with cosmetic acceptability. But owing to concerns with the potential the safety of these products, we first started reviewing the safety of these particles in sunscreens in 2006, and we continue to monitor scientific evidence. We publish our scientific review on our website, which is available for consumers, also with more basic questions and answers. The latest update was published in August 2013. So the TGA position is that the potential toxicity of the nanoparticulate zinc oxide and titanium dioxide is only relevant if these substances penetrate into living skin cells, and the evidence to date, or the best evidence so far, is that there is no significant penetration. And another important point of difference with Europe, and where sunscreens may be regulated as cosmetics, in Australia the labels require the product to include the name of the active ingredients and the quantity, but not the particle size. So another important outcome of the nanotechnology focus group in the TGA was to build the scientific capacity of staff, not only in the TGA but in other related agencies. So we developed a nanotechnology training programme, which was a 2.5-day course held in Canberra in May 2009. It was delivered by Australian academics and consultant toxicologists. This slide just shows these areas that were covered in this program. So finally, we engaged nationally with the Health, Safety and Environment Working Group, which was established under the National Nanotechnology Strategy. So we collaborate with other agencies in the health portfolio and other areas. And internationally, we participate in the international regulators meetings on nanotechnology and nanomedicines international working group, and indirectly we have input into the OECD working party on manufactured nanomaterials. So concluding then, the TGA regulates medicines on a product-by-product basis, and through initiatives it's undertaken under the National Nanotechnology Strategy, we've confirmed that our current product-focused, science-based regulatory arrangements are adequate for assessing potential risks of medical products involving nanomaterials. And our ongoing review of the scientific literature is essential to ensure we keep abreast of any developments in the field which are relevant to these activities. And finally, engagement in the international working group is essential for our developing guidelines. Thank you.